me ducks? It's Simon. How are we doing? Let's just pop open the chat. It's lovely to see everybody. Oh, I love this time of the week. I love Saturdays. I love when it gets to this time in the evening where I can jump on and connect with you all. So it's a real highlight. So thank you for being here. It's always lovely to hang out with you. There's already 50 people in, so I'm going to do the obligatory hellos and welcomes like I usually do. It looks a little bit dark. I might have to put the big light on, particularly the big light for at least when I'm showing decks, because you've probably seen the title of today's Cuppa catch up. So yes, Celia, first one in, and happy Saturday and blessed Imbolc for Thursday. We're halfway there. I always want to burst into, is it Europe? Or was it Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer? I think it was Bon Jovi, wasn't it? I always used to get those two mixed up. But yeah, we're halfway between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox on Thursday. So this is the part of that wheel of the year where things start to go towards the light, the warmth. First starts a little shoots and shrubs and things like that coming out. So I'm already noticing the difference. I finish work at 4:30, and if I'm working in the city, I just take a walk through the city to where I live, and already now it's light. It's light at 4:30 in the evenings, whereas just a few weeks ago I was walking home in the dark. So we're already seeing the return of the light, return of the heat. So thank you for the reminder, Celia. I've got to look at my sacred space and get my Imbolc cards out and things like that. And then we've got Golden. We have Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Elspeth, Inked Witchy. We have Mia. Hi, Mia. And Redwing. We have Ange, Railway Cat, I should say. Brenda and Javi, Rolf, Dawn, Saskia. We have Kylie, Liz, and Kathy. Hello, Kathy. We also have Sarah and Lily Rose. We have Trio of Witches. We have our Chris. How you doing, Chris? Elspeth, Raven Glands. We have Ramon. How are you doing? Good to see you. We have Nutmeg and Raven Song. We have lots of lovely people here today. We've got Nicole and Bella. We have Thais. Hi, Thais. And Zahara, nice to see you. Hello, ducks. Hello, Zahara. Are you local by any chance? Chris has been watching some Buffy. Do you know, I've never seen a single episode of Buffy. This is where I lose like every subscriber I've ever gained over the last 6 years. You've never seen Buffy? I can always remember the time where I was in a live chat. I won't mention where, but I was in a live chat and I said, I've never seen Harry Potter. Well, gosh. I'd seen the first one. But yeah, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Just, my brain doesn't... I spend most of my time, my free time, trawling through Netflix, Amazon, Disney, Paramount, all of them, trying to find something to watch that will keep my attention. Such a struggle. It's such a struggle. And I'll watch the first 20 minutes of so many things and people say to me, but it's brilliant. And I'll be like, it didn't hook me in straight away. And it just don't work for me that way. But anyway, A Discovery of Witches, tried. I think I've watched that first episode 3 times. Maybe I should give it another go. Maybe. Have you seen Salem on Netflix? No, I haven't. Is it good? Love Discovery of Witches. I still haven't watched Buffy either, but my husband was a big fan, so hopefully. Yeah, see, I don't know why, but this is the thing, isn't it? You form opinions, and it was a long time ago, wasn't it? Was it like the 90s? I think it was around the same time as Sex and the City, because I used to get Sarah Michelle Gellar, and her name's just gone out of my head, but the two of them mixed up. The Expanse, never heard of that. Salem is brilliant. See, all these people that's watched it, I've not even heard of it. Worth a go. Oh, hello, Barbara. Nice to see you. Yeah, so I spend so much time just trying to find something to watch that's really good. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I downloaded and paid for, I think I did mention it actually, from Amazon. Yeah, because I was complaining about why you have to buy things. But for those who wasn't here last week, Emerald Fennell's first film. Oh God, here we go. Promising Young Woman. Yeah, we did mention it because somebody in the chat said where the title came from. That's worth a watch. The second film by Emerald Fennell, of course, was Saltburn, which everybody's talking about at the moment. Talking about what everybody is talking about, if you're in the UK and you've been watching Traitors, it was the finale last night. And it's thrown my whole day out because I went out last night, which is very rare that I go out on a Friday night in town. It just doesn't happen. But it was a friend's birthday who turned out to be poorly and couldn't come, but the rest of us still went. And we went for an Indian meal, which was really lovely, to a very famous Indian restaurant opposite the theatre. But it was shut for a few months because it's had a complete renovation. So we went. It was lovely, really lovely. Company was lovely, nice food, very expensive. But the reason I'm telling you this is it happened to be on the night of the Traitors finale. And I was like, oh, I can't look at my phone, can't see any spoilers. And then I'd got to be up at 5 this morning. And I was like, I just know that if I leave it until tomorrow, I'm going to find out and it's going to ruin it. You know, where you really don't want a spoiler. And so I got home, I think it was about 11 o'clock, and I stayed up and watched it. So I didn't actually get into bed and fall asleep till about 12:30. And then I'd be up at 5. So after I got back from my walk and my coffee with my friend, I went to the barber's, had a bit of a pamper. I've had a head shave, wet shave, hot towels, all that kind of stuff. Flames in my ears. My ear caught on fire. What's that about? It's never happened before. He was doing the flame thing and I felt this searing pain, and he was suddenly shoving his finger in my ear and doing this. And he went, oh, sorry. He said, your ear caught on fire. So anyway, after that, I came home, I jumped in the shower, second one of the day, and got into bed. And this was about 10:30 this morning, and I slept till 2:30. So yeah, it's been a day of two halves. And let's see if I'm missing any comments. Salem is brilliant. I'm going to check that out then. With Buffy, you kind of had to live the American high school life to enjoy it. Lily Rose says, Simon, the Traitors was my thing. I'm now watching Traitors Australia season 1, and it's good too. Yeah, I tried to watch the first American Traitors with the guy from Scotland, Alan Cumming. But I don't know. There's going to be, obviously there's a season 3, but there's going to be a celebrity Traitors as well, which will be good. My ear caught on fire. What's the ear flame thing? So what they do is, when you get to a certain age, to make sure you don't have any kind of unwanted hairs, they've got like they dip this like a huge Q-tip thing in some flammable liquid, set fire to it, and you've got this huge flame, and they waft it around your ear, and it singes any hair inside, outside. You feel the heat as they're doing it. And then you have hot wax up your nose, which they yank out. And then, you have your eyebrows trimmed down, shaved down and stuff like that. So it's just to make sure that, you haven't got hairs sprouting out your nostrils or out your ears and that sort of thing. Too much wax. You're like a candle now. Ooh. Yeah, and I always make sure before I go to the barbers that my ears are clean because I know they're going to be doing that. I think it must have been hairs that caught on fire. I know, it was scary. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Spontaneous combustion. Don't try ear candling then. Hoppy ear candling, yeah. Hoppy ear candles, they're supposed to be really therapeutic. Try burning your ear with a hair straightener, Simon. I wouldn't need to. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. He needs to be more careful at your barbers. Hello, Richie. Nice to see you. And hello, Patrice. Nice to see you too. Off shots first dawn. Off shots first dawn. I don't know what that means. I do mine with a lighter. Oh my gosh. I'd be like, yeah. Let's not try it again. You don't want to see me go up in flames. That would be like that'll become like a viral thing, wouldn't it? Watch this man set himself on fire live on YouTube. Fired. Hello, Simon and everyone. Creative Attention, I see you. My husband totally needs the flame treatment. He's a crazy old man here. It's good. I like it. Oh, The Masked Singer. This must be Tony. He still hasn't assigned his name, so it just says Facebook user. But hello, Tone. A masked singer. Have I missed out? Yes. You've missed having a life. I'm joking. I'm sure The Masked Singer is a televisual delight, but it's hardly The Traitors. Tony was a big Traitors fan as well. We've just been talking about The Traitors. Is this your regular bikini wax you were away for, Simon? You were away for? Is this your regular bikini wax you were away for, Simon? I don't think I'd... oh, gosh. I can't imagine that sort of pain. Oh, Anna's here as well. Hi, Anna. How are you? Shots fired. I was saying shots fired to Dawn, the prawn, for the straightener comment. Right, okay. And hi to Maya. Nice to see you. Don't talk to me about traitors. Yeah, I'm not giving any spoilers, just in case there's people who haven't seen the final from last night yet. But oh gosh, such good TV. The production of it, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but the production of it over here is insane. It's brilliant. Evening anyway. Hope you're all well. Anna says, listening to you while making the kids' lunch. Well, it's lovely to see you here. Snape killed Dumbledore. Is that a spoiler? It means nothing to me. I know it's Harry Potter related, but is that kind of a spoiler? Anyway, so let's get the banners up of what I want to talk about. So it's kind of two things really, but one leads into the other. So a couple of days ago, I was thinking about my first deck and how it formed such an impression on me back in 1987, that it's a really important deck, even though I might not use it as much as some others. And with somebody with quite a large collection, that's understandable as well, because you've got, decks coming in all the while. And as I spoke about, last weekend, my current deck that I'm in love with and using is Tarot of Echoes. And so, we can't always have our first deck. Some people might only have one deck and only ever have one deck. So, of course, it would still be popular. But I started to think about, do we still use our first deck? And that will lead in to the decks on my desk kind of thing, because I wanted to ask this question, because when people have done tags in the past, they might say, what is your first deck? And people share what their first deck is. I know I've done that in the past. But do we still use it? And if so, why? Is it because of that whole sort of nostalgia and fondness of something that you had that first connection with? And if you don't use it, is it because, which I would imagine in a lot of cases, I've got a friend who I was with couple of months before Christmas, and we went into a shop and there was some tarot decks, and they was buying their first, or wanting to buy their first tarot deck. And I was trying not to sway them, because I think it's really important that, your first deck has to be something that you connect with. But I was really trying to kind of gently sort of encourage them to buy an RWS deck, which in a way they did, but they bought a dragon deck, which is fine, because they love dragons and they've got ornaments of dragons. So they thought, oh, that would be great. I'll get a dragon one. And then I spoke to them recently and I'm like, how are you getting on with the tarot? And they're like, I mean, it's pretty. I really enjoy it, because it's dragons. And that got me thinking about, I wonder how many people actually buy a tarot deck for any first deck is a gateway into divination and reading, isn't it? But, when you think about Golden Girls Tarot, Friends Tarot, or Del Toro, all these ones that we've seen a lot of themed decks now around favorite TV shows. And imagine that would be a gateway deck. But I wonder how many people still use their first deck. I'm seeing some comments fly up, so I don't want to miss anybody. Yay, Tony's here. And yeah, people saying hi to Tony. So he won't see these comments. That's why I've highlighted them. So yes, Deviant Moon. So Tony's first deck was Deviant Moon. And Sandra says yes. I think it's the nostalgia. Richie says, yes, mine is Sacred Rose, but I only use it for readings for myself. Again, I think that's quite apt, isn't it? Because when it is our first deck, we do form that connection with it. And therefore, there's that special bond. So it makes sense we would read for ourselves with our decks. Anna says, yes, Mythic Tarot, great deck. Great first deck. See if there's any others that people are sharing. Elspeth was a standard RWS and I still use it. It knows me so well. Yeah. You see, that wasn't my first, but it was kind of first this time round, going back about, oh God, what are we talking now? 16 years ago. Uh, Tarot Grand Lux, Morgan Greer, that's a classic, isn't it? RWS, and it's my best friend. So much easier in the 80s. Yeah. Do you think we're kind of spoiled for choice now? Or do you think actually having that wide range makes it more accessible to people? Yeah, that was in relation to Raven Song's comment. Druid Craft, another classic. My only deck for 10 years. Yeah, it came with you to Refuge. Yeah, and that's the thing. That first deck, you either have it for life, I think, or you pass it on quite quickly. And I've often heard people say, well, my first deck was such and such, and I bought it, but, I passed it on because our tastes change. Oh, Morgan Greer was stolen. That's terrible. It's not going to provide them much luck, is it? That's how I look at it. Yeah, Mythic. Barbara says hers was RWS. Original RWS. Lots of original RWS, as we can see here. Hi, Marsha. Nice to see you. Crystal uses his. Aquarian. Oh, that's having a revamp, isn't it, by US Games later in this year with a book in a kit. So that'll be quite nice. Hi, Tamaya. RWS and the Guild Tarot. Love the Guild Tarot, even though it's a different system. Hello, Anne. Interesting first question. First deck Aquarian Tarot, but no longer read as I predominantly read Marseille, but will treasure because it's a first deck. I'm happy I started with a pip deck. Well, I started with a pip deck, but I couldn't really read it. Albino Wait, some great classics coming through here. Well, Chris, what was it when we were talking? You said I don't have that deck, and I'm like, but it's like a staple deck. It's not the Morgan Greer because I know you've got the Morgan Greer, but it was of that sort of. Was it Hanson Roberts, or there was a kind of a classic deck that you didn't have? Toth. Tower of St. Petersburg and Centennial in a Tin. That's great. Tower of St. Petersburg is really pretty. First deck was RWS. Hello, Nancy. What was that? Mine was the prediction deck in 1989. The prediction deck, Brenda. I don't know if I've heard of that. Is that the one that Mystic Meg did? No, because Mystic Meg was famous in the 90s, wasn't she? I started reading proper with Marseille. We've got TDM. First TDM for Marsha was CBD. I can't remember what my first one was. Well, obviously it's the one JJ Swiss, but that often tends to be referred to more as a best on kind of system than a Marseille, but it's a pip deck and it's Marseille, isn't it? Centennial Borderless for introspection. RWS 33 years ago, catching me up. I can't believe 1987 is now 27 years ago. I was 37 years ago. 37 years ago. Aquarian Tarot, yeah. Are you going to wait for the? Well, that's just assuming you're going to get it. You might not even want it. We have Elle's Temple here. Hi, nice to be here. New to your community. The Goddess Tarot by Chris Waldher was my first tarot deck, which I got after her Goddess of Inspiration Oracle deck. I still use the tarot. That's fab. And welcome, Elle. It's nice to have you here. And thank you for with being new to the community. Thank you for joining in. And some people don't. Some people kind of sit back, and that's fine too. But it's nice to be able to welcome you. So hello and welcome to the community. Just saw the prediction deck on eBay. Just realised the Anna K is now out of print. Wow. Is that indie as well? Because I got the Anna K mass market first, loved it, and then went and bought the indie version because she was selling the deck alongside it still being mass market, and loved it even more. Love the indie version of that deck. I bought the Hanson Robert deck much later. Oh no, I have a Foth, which I trimmed years ago, then found out it's apparently a greenie a couple of years ago on Tarathon. Oh well. Never mind. Prediction deck was on the cover of Sasha Fenton's book Fortune Telling by Tarot Cards. Okay. Voyager Tarot by James Wanless. Sacred Rose. Just ordered the Connolly Tarot. Yeah, very retro. It's a good deck. Native American Tarot was Anger's. Oh, you mean 1984 was 40 years ago, right? Relax. Frankie Goes to Hollywood is 40 years old. 1984, how can it be? What was that? The Hermit's Cave. Chris doesn't have the Sacred Rose. You don't. I got the Sacred Rose, an old copy from Fairy Glen in Mablethorpe. First deck was the Giant Rider-Waite Smith Hot Shuffle. Yeah, they are. Celestial Tarot, which I couldn't use as a beginner. Yeah, and that's another thing, isn't it? When we buy our first decks, we don't know, because not a lot of shops have them out on display where you can look at the cards. And we might have this intrigue about the tarot. We might see something on the box and think, or lots of people might not be a little bit sure about a deck, so they'll buy something that's quite cheap. And I don't mean that, necessarily about the quality, but cheap price. So you tend to pick a lot of people to pick up a lot of tarot decks and things like the Works. And then you just don't know what kind of quality they're going to be like. So I think usually the first deck is the most studied now, at least for me. Spent months reading and underlying that book. I can't say the same for every other I got. Yeah, I think you're right. Mine is this one. This was mine in 1987. This isn't the actual one because Sandra gifted me this, but it's this version of one JJ Swiss in the same box. And I remember, because you do study, when you buy one JJ now, they tend to just come in this box, but this come with this spreadsheet, and then it also got the book. So yeah, you do. I did as well. I kind of devoured it and wanted to learn more about it. So particularly if you're a novice as well, because you buy in a deck, there's nothing worse, is there? Especially back in the day when there was no internet. Now if you buy a deck and you're not sure about how to read tarot cards, you can come onto the internet. You can come onto like YouTube and watch tutorials and things. then you're learning somebody else's kind of style, not always necessarily a bad thing. But back then, you just had the book that came with it, or you could go into a shop and try and find a book written about the tarot and go that way. But yeah, you're right. I think you do, if you're wanting to learn, then that's your option if you get a kit. Yeah, and then just continuing on because the initial knowledge came from that. Yeah. So for me, I know there's probably more comments, but if you do want to catch, if you want to comment reading out, do pop it in capitals and I'll look out for it. So that was my first. However, which was 1987, as I mentioned. I was 16 at the time when I first encountered the tarot, and I loved it, but I really struggled with the pips. Didn't know how to read them really. So I kind of read the majors only. And then in 2001 is when I discovered Soul Cards by Deborah Croft Chapin. Absolutely loved them because of that whole sort of intuitive hit and not having any structure to them. But I just found that when I was reading for people and laying these down every single time, no matter how well I knew the images, I was getting different kind of vibes from them in relation to, you know, what the person was asking and a little bit about their life. So I just loved the freedom of Soul Cards. And I remember thinking I'll only ever read with Soul Cards. But then in 2008, I got this sort of desire to go back to the tarot and learn more of a structure and system. And that's when I bought the Rider Pack from W.H. Smith's. And I brought the Tarot Bible as a book to kind of help me with that. And that was kind of my journey back into reading with tarot. I've always read with cards, but, you know, so cartomancy has been part of my life for 37 years. But tarot kind of came and went and then came back again. Just seeing if there's anything in particular then. However, then for me, it was all about RWS, and then finding this community in 2016, which in itself is 8 years ago, just realizing that there was this whole tarot world out there with all these amazing decks, but it was still very much about RWS because I really found, with spending years working with Soul Cards, that images was really important to me. And so for me, I just wanted, you know, scenic images to trigger my intuition. And then, of course, somebody mentioned 78 Degrees of Tarot, 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. And I just started buying loads of books and absorbing all this information. And what happened then is I had an underpinning knowledge of the cards where I would then read for people, but having the images also added that extra layer. Whereas I think with a pip deck, if I had 4 of Cups, I would have a starting point because I would think Cups is about our emotions and things like that. 4 is about stability of emotions, and go from there. But having an image, I just find that that's my style. You know, I'm a visual person. Then I think it was early 2017. And Patrick from In the 78 Cards, who's now the Living Wheel, and Kelly from Truth and Story talked about this thing that they'd done the year before, but I wasn't around, called March of the Pips, where through the month of March, you would learn and work with pip decks. And that's when I bought the 1JJ Swiss again, which was an eBay copy. I couldn't get this one. This came later from Sandra, as I mentioned, but I've got so many versions now because I've got the version I bought, the version Sandra gave me, and then I was very lucky to get off eBay a 1970 copy with a golden underneath box. The inner box is gold foil. And the cardstock on that is that beautiful, like the Blushing Fool, that beautiful papery cardstock without lamination. So that was lovely. But I still use the 1JJ, and it's on my desk at all times. Two versions of it is. So this one is the Vincent Petici. In fact, the box, yeah, it's down here. And I believe this is on Mate Playing Cards, but you buy it comes in a 2-part box. So really love this. And this one is on linen cardstock. But that image in itself, that's incredible that that's on top. That is so ingrained in here from 1987. And I think it's one of the best devil cards ever, with this woman weeping. But again, from my childhood, from Tales of the Unexpected, where we would see these images. In fact, where's the devil? Sorry, the death card. That's, again, a very iconic image if you're of a certain age and you're brought up in this country. But this version is beautiful, the way it's been. The colours really pop. It's got like an off-white background. But what he did was, because the 1JJ, JJ is for Juno and Jupiter, which replaced the High Priestess or the Papess and the Pope because of the time. And he put in 2 extra cards so you could have this. But the artwork is so well done, it doesn't stand out. You know, you're thinking these images have been around for how long? And they're just done so well, really, really well. So this one is always out on my desk, as is Conrad Stain's version, which is a vintage version of the 1JJ. This cardstock is a little bit thicker. This is, I think, the one I bought is Mate Playing Cards Superior Smooth, which is gorgeous, gorgeous, nice waxy feel. I really like MPC's cardstock of this. But this one has that nice vintage feel to it. It's beautiful. So yeah, I love this. Here's our Fool. And this one has the English titles, which you can get. I have got a 1JJ Swiss that has English titles as well. So yeah, so that was my first. Both of these are out on my desk. I can see a comment as well, so I will pause and read what you guys are saying. Let's pop them there. Oh, nearly a 78 card pickup. Nearly went everywhere then. Simon, do you find the soul cards imagery matches at all with RWS imagery? Well, it's funny you should say that, because I did do a live. Where would they be now? They're going to be here. This is in one of Mad Witch's bags, which is just gorgeous. Look at this. Did do a live where about a year ago, there was a trend of taking soul cards 1 and 2, because there's 60 cards in each of the soul cards, 1 and 2, making 120, and then making a tarot deck out of the images that you thought best fit. And different people did it. So Giselle did it. Trying to think who else did it. Don't think Chris did it. I think I wanted Chris to do it because he, really loves soul cards as well. But something like this, So I just put the element, so 2 of air, or if it was a major, or where are we? Yeah, I'd write it down. So for instance, oops, Hanged Man. So you can make it fit. Here's Justice. And it was quite a wonderful thing to do. Now I'm lucky because I've got 2 copies of each. So I've still got my super deck, so 120 soul cards that I use as an oracle, but I've also got a tarot version. So here we've got the Empress lot. I mean, what a beautiful Empress card. So you can make it, you can. And not every card was as easy to assign, but because I've worked with them for so long. Oh, right, forgot about that. Yeah, so I enjoyed doing that. And Deborah herself contacted me after I did it, and she said, I've been watching all the videos of soul cards being kind of converted into tarot decks, and I didn't know how she'd feel about it actually, but she quite enjoyed it. She quite enjoyed the process, and I said, well, maybe you decide to do a tarot deck. But she had a lot on at the time. So yeah. Let's see what else people are saying. I can get more from reading of pictures as pips. I just gives me the basics. Yeah, you know, there is an argument though for having the freedom from a pip. So you might have, you know, your basics, numerology, and bringing in the elements, but that can give you a big jumping off point without being restricted by an image. So I get the arguments for and against. For me, though, I've gone past laying down a pip card and thinking, oh gosh, 5 of coins. And in my mind, I would then convert that to the RWS 5 of pentacles. Whereas, you know, you could look at 5 of coins and think, okay, so coins is the earth element. That's like our home life, our work. 5 is disruption. So is there something going off at home that's quite disruptive, or perhaps in the workplace, and build on it from that. Golden says, work my way through Simon's videos and would be sad when they turned out to be pips. And would be so sad when they turned out to be pips. I want the Solar Booster Revisited, which is fully illustrated and amazing. It is good. Kim's here. Hi, Simon. My first deck was the Rider-Waite, and now I have built up a collection of different decks. Still learning the tarot. It's so lovely to look at the card that tells a story. Yeah, I agree, Kim. Pagan Otherworlds is a hybrid pip RWS. Yeah, I found that quite useful because I got that very early on, and that was a very useful deck. But it's kind of its own thing, because whilst it's hybrid, it doesn't necessarily, one doesn't lend itself to the other, if that makes sense. You might get an amalgamation of part scenic, part pip, but it doesn't necessarily mean you read this as an RWS or you read it as a Marseille. Do you get me? The Hierophant, help me understand. Again, you've got to think about, you know, where's the Hierophant coming up? What is the question that's being asked? But for me, it's all about establishment, and, you know, kind of, I've struggled with the Hierophant because of my background. So I have to get past that and have to sometimes remove personal things wherever you can, particularly if you're reading for somebody else. But that whole sort of organizational structure and ritual and dogma and everything else. I love it when the Hierophant, like in Anna's deck, where the Hierophant is depicted as somebody more of a teacher, you know, and somebody to learn from, a mentor. And there's some beautiful tarot decks out there where you might have, you know, like a Buddhist monk, for example. I've even seen the Dalai Lama depicted as the Hierophant. And so if we think of the kind of traditional Christian Hierophant, then Hierophant basically means high priest. Then I kind of, it can jar with me, but it's somebody that would teach, somebody who is respected, somebody with knowledge. You know, you've got your supplicants that are in front of him taking that sort of, but it can also be very much about tradition and dogma and structure. That's how I read the Hierophant, Sandra, like a teacher. Yeah, exactly. David says, think of the Hierophant as Doreen Virtue. Let's not think of the Hierophant as Doreen Virtue, please. Oh dear, that's funny. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Marsha. The Hierophant, the Pope, for me, are teachers and preservers of tradition. Anna says, here's my thing. I doubt any priest or pope would like knowing they're in a tarot deck. So I like to remove that connotation. That's a really good point. And again, it goes back to 1JJ Swiss, doesn't it? What we were saying there at the beginning. Okay, so then that leads on to decks on my desk 1 year on. These are quite big. What's happened here? Is it in the branding that I've got these huge kind of, can I make it a little bit smaller? Oh no, it's even bigger. What? Why are they so big? They never used to be that big, did they? I thought you could have them quite smaller than that, unless I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, no biggie. So it's done. I've got about 10 decks, 10 tarot decks. How are we doing for time? Okay, about halfway through. 10 tarot decks, 3 oracle decks that I want to talk about, because if you've seen my desk set up, you'll know that I've got like a display that has 3 rows of 3. So there's 9. But then in front of me, I've got the, here on Anna, you're in the chat. I have my little, which has this kind of stand on the back, so it stands upright. I've got my Tarot of Echoes and Oracle of Echoes there. So because this is decks on my desk, I'm going to talk about the ones that I've had most recently. So Tarot of Echoes, which I've shown probably about 3 weeks ago, I want to say. This came 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today, the lovely Anna, who's in the chat, was on the channel, and we talked about this deck, and Anna was very gracious and also shared her thoughts on a number of the cards that that we mentioned. I did edge it in black. I posted that on Instagram. These are the backs, so it just lended itself to be wanting to be edged in black. A couple of weeks ago, I put it on Instagram, but mainly because I've got Oracle of Echoes, and years ago I edged that in black too. Both of these decks have been picked up by US Games and will be released mass market, hopefully later in the year for this one, maybe next year for Tarot of Echoes. Could be later than that. Love the black edge, Susanna. I'm glad you do. So they're on my desk, and I'm just obsessed, as I mentioned last week. It's the deck I'm using every day at the moment. It's in those two because I'm just grabbing for them to do my daily readings. Callet cards, which I think this is probably the last video I put up, or actually it might not have been. It might have been the wild. Is it the Wild Earth? But Callet cards. No, it was the last one I put up. I'm loving these. So kind of based on Lenormand, but not. It follows the Wheel of the Year. It follows the seasons. There's 52 cards, one for each week of the year, which I've been enjoying doing. But I've also done a few little readings with these, you know, doing them as the book kind of intimates, just laying them down and seeing a very basic, almost like a storyboard, reading it literally across, and it's had some really surprising results. I've really enjoyed working with these. I'm going to put the big light on because it's getting a little bit too dark, so it'll get a little bit lighter now and you'll be able to see the images. As the actress said to the bishop, what did I say? But yeah, these are really gorgeous images. I don't know if anybody else has ordered these cards. They weren't that expensive, really, for an independently produced deck. The production quality is beautiful. You get a lovely book with it as well. So my dog loves to stand on the phone. She's blooming timed out half of the chat. You've been banishing people. I like the look of collect cards. I was thinking of getting them, says Ange. I really need to edge my Oracle of Echoes in black. Still waiting on the Deviant Moon Oracle. Yeah, I've not seen anything on US Games' website for the Deviant Moon Oracle. But yeah, it's been talked about for a long time, hasn't it? The deck on my desk at the moment is the Uncommon Tarot. I got it early September and haven't been able to put it away. Oh, Sandra's ordered the Callet cards. Yay. You'll have to let me know what you think when you get them. That's cool. All right. So I'm not going to spend an awful amount of time going through each deck just because of how time's already getting on. But I'll just say why they're on my deck, on my desk. It's hard getting deck and desk mixed up. Easy to mix it up. The Hush Tarot. So this was a Christmas present. And I'm going to be really, really honest. The reason why this is on my desk is because I've still not used it yet. Well, other than an initial kind of play around. They're not in order because, you know, it's not, even though I've not really used it or worked with it. Now, I've gone on such a journey with this deck. So I bought this a few years ago for the Tarot Times, and I couldn't connect with it, so I gave it away in a drawer. And then I've seen people use it and talk about it, and I thought, actually, I think I might have been a little bit too hasty in getting rid of it. So I saw it in a shop, and I'd got some money for a Christmas present, so I used it to buy it as a Christmas present. And I'm really glad that I've got it. However, I've not yet. It's not that I've not been drawn to use it. It's just that other things have come in since Christmas. I've got a few decks for Christmas, and then of course Tower of Echoes, and I was just like, I will get round to using this deck. I think it's got a fantastic kind of like a Victorian vibe. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. It does kind of have a dark energy. And I don't mean that by, you know, dark energy as in anything sinister, just, you know, a darker energy to it, but it's beautiful. So it's staying on my desk because this isn't, I just know that if I don't work with this soon and I take it off my desk and it goes onto the shelf, it'll probably stay on the shelf. And I really want to reconnect with it and give this deck another go. I mean, look, beautiful. Look at these hairs. So yeah, Hush Tarot. Where's the lid? And it's by Jeremy Hush, hence why it has that name. I think Patrick Valenza said something about the image of going up to US Games last November or December. Okay. John Matthews, the Sherwood Oracle. Yeah, they pushed the date back to May now, haven't they? It's pre-ordered. I don't do that very often, but it's Sherwood. You know, it's just outside. I'm in Nottingham, so and when Sandra and I went to Sherwood Forest, when she came up in August, it was incredible because you've got the Greenwood Trail and the Wildwood Trail, and it's like stepping into a tarot world. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one coming. Simon, I missed the delivery of the Wisdom Keepers colour version. I can't wait to finally own that deck. The Wisdom Keepers is amazing. That is a deck I'll never ever get rid of. I always wanted to get a black and white version because it came out black and white version first, then they released the colour version. I even bought the separate book, not realising it was exactly the same as the book that you get with the deck, just bigger. But yeah, I wanted the black and white version, but it never happened, and it went out of print, and it was really hard to get. Sandra says, I loved Sherwood Forest. I know you really enjoyed it. So that's that one. I have to mention, this deck has been on my desk since forever. And it was mentioned a year ago. So this is decks on my desk 1 year on, because I did this exactly a year ago. I did a video. It wasn't a live. It was a video, decks on my desk, and 1 or 2 people turned it into a tag and did some responses. But this is one of the most beautiful decks ever made. And it's the Llewellyn Tarot. I just think this is gorgeous. Now, I've got a trimmed version of this, but actually I've really enjoyed working with the full-sized version. If this was my only, not a wish, because I'm happy with this, but if they ever re-release this, I would love them to be a little bit bigger. They're a nice size, but I want to see more image because there's quite a lot of detail in this deck. But it is so beautiful. The Llewellyn Tarot is so beautiful, and I love it. It took me a while to get it, and I remember I've been around on YouTube for a couple of years. Maybe about 2019 I first got it. And a bit like I said to Chris when he said he hadn't got the aquarium, I'm like, you haven't got the aquarium? That was the reaction I got when I said I didn't have the Llewellyn Tarot. And I thought, well, let's give it a go. Let's get it. And never regretted it. It is beautiful. And you don't necessarily, even though you do get titles on the majors of, you know, who they are, like Carrigan here, you don't have to have an understanding of Welsh mythology to be able to work with this deck, because the minors don't even, you know, have titles at the top. It will just say 9 of Swords, and that's a very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith 9 of Swords. But I mean, look at how beautiful the artwork is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So this is a classic, but it's one that's on my desk. Has been since I got it 5 years ago, and I think it will always stay there. I'll stop showing the images now, but I could show them all because they're just so beautiful, and it is so pagan and Celtic, and look at that with the standing stones. And Yeah, really beautiful. Hermit's Cave. I think my last VR was to only 10 decks. I saw yours. Maybe you should repost. Maybe. What, do an update, you mean? Sandra says, I trimmed my Llewellyn. I wish I hadn't now. The Llewellyn is a beauty. Yeah, and I trimmed my first copy, and then I thought I'm gonna get a backup. I edged it. These are the backs. I edged it in brown. And I'm glad I bought a backup because I really like using this. But you know, the trimmed version is just as beautiful. I don't want to miss any comments. Oh, Chris. I'll just post that there. Oh my gosh. That could have been a throwback we could have done. Great deck if you have small hands, even better trimmed. That's a fair point, yeah. Let's not put... I'm only doing this in jest. Let's not put any shame on Chris. I would buy a borderless Llewellyn, yeah. And I think, you know, if it was on a really nice matte cardstock, bigger image, I think, oh, beautiful, wouldn't it? And it'll only ever be released by Llewellyn because it's Llewellyn Tarot. But yeah, maybe we should all contact Llewellyn and ask them. Oh God, I'll stop showing cards now. Simon continues to not be able to control himself, and I get it. Thanks, Vanessa. I know. Then you just see the next image, you think, oh yeah, that's gorgeous. I've got to show that one. All right. So now the next deck, or decks, because there's two versions of it, but I just pulled one off the shelf because I've got one on my desk. I pulled this out probably beginning of December, and it had been on the shelf for a couple of years. And I thought, do you know what? When I first bought that deck, I really, really loved it. And I don't want it just to sit on the shelf. So I'm going to work with it for a bit. And this is one version. This is the other version. I think there's about 4 versions actually. But it's the Lions Gateway Tarot. I don't know if anybody else has got it. And this version, this little book, is the one that was on my desk. But there is a larger version as well. I can't remember the order in which they came out. This one has the pink and yellow backs, beautiful gold gilding. But the artwork in this deck is really sharp. Really nice, bold colours, clear line work. Cardstock is a dream in this deck. Yeah, that's gorgeous cardstock. And I love the illustrations. I think they're just so quite simple, quite beautiful. What's the creator's name? I forgot her name. Jessica Lee Henry, of course. And this was sent to me by Jessica. And I just loved it. I really, really loved it. And she sent me her next edition as well. Let me show you some more of the cards. It's very, very happy, very bright. Don't know if many people have seen it. Trio Witcher said, oh yes, Lions Gateway, I have the pink backs. Yeah, I love it. So I'll just show a few cards from the larger edition as well. But so I dug this out because, you know, sometimes people will say to me or leave comments and they'll say, it's all right having, you know, 800 tarot decks, but you can't use them all. So, you know, why have you got them? It's for moments like this, you know. I was trying to find, for a throwback that I do with Chris, I was trying to find a deck, and I ended up taking about 200 off this shelf to join the other 200 that's in the back room. But I found that really useful because as I was taking decks off to put in the back room, I was looking at it and thinking, oh yeah, I need to work with that. So you find that what you do is every so often somebody might mention a deck and you think, oh, I've got that. And then that sort of little voice that says, get it out and work with it a bit. This is the yellow and white back version. Again, gold gilding. Let me just do a size comparison. So this was the original. They're not hugely different in size, but you can see this one is bigger. And that was a really nice surprise to be sent it, because I was like, oh wow, you know, beautiful, because we see more of the image. But this one is more of a tarot size, so people with bigger hands might not appreciate a larger version. Again, same lovely matte card start. Look at that death card. Yeah, really lovely. Gorgeous strength card. So Lions Gateway Tarot, one of those, and it's very RWS, as you can see here, but I just love the images. I love the colours, and they're quite simplistic, but I like that sometimes. And yeah, it was just where I suddenly felt called to bring it back out and work with it. And like I say, I've been working with this one, but because I was going to show it, I thought, let's get the other one just to show that there are different versions. And I don't know, you'd have to go to the creator's website, Jessica Lee Henry, Lee as in Leigh, to see what versions are available now, because you know, when you get different editions, it tends to mean that the others are going out of print. I've let my tea go cold. I don't know that deck at all, and that's great, isn't it, as well, when you can bring out a deck that, you know, might have blossomed at one time in the community, and then, you know, other decks come out and they get overlooked or forgotten about, don't they? All right, what next? Okay, so this is on my desk because I bought this in July of last year, so it wouldn't have been on. And it's not a new deck, but it's a new version of the deck. And this is Robert M. Place's Alchemical Tarot. Full confession, I've not used it a lot. I do have other versions. So I've got what I call the green box one, and this was the 5th edition. This is the 6th edition, which is called the Blue Skies edition. And I showed it at the time. So last time I went to London, it's when I went to see the ABBA Voyage recording at Watkins. And I like this because it felt more natural, because the skies were blue, and I don't know, I love this. This is a classic deck, you know. It's been around for a long time. I think some people, I think Robert M. Place decks is a lot like Ciro Marchetti. They're nothing like each other, but in the sense of you either really love him or you don't. And I love his artwork. Again, I love the clear lines. You look at an image and you just instantly know this is Robert M. Place, his decks. And I think I've got pretty much all of his decks. I just think the guy is a genius. Some of his decks can be a little bit challenging, particularly around alchemy. I love this one. The Tarot of Alchemical Magnum Opus. That's kind of the distilled version, condensed down into its basic form. And I also love the Alchemical Tarot of Marseille. And I know people say, but it's not a Marseille. But and then he's got the Vampire Tarot and all that kind of stuff, Tarot of the Saints. But yeah, really, really gorgeous deck. So this has been on my deck because I bought it in July, kind of put it on the shelf, and then again a couple of months ago thought, no, I need to work with it. There's no point spending a lot of money, and they're not cheap in this new format with the cloth covered boxes, to not use it. So I think my favourite of his is Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery. Love that deck. Maybe I'll just put the box. Maybe I'll just put the box. I'll put it back on the shelf, didn't I? Yeah, that's and they re-released this as well. This is the second edition, and it's in this material covered box. Love this deck. What's other people's views on Robert M. Place decks? Do you like them? The Alchemical Reimagined. Is that a new one? Alchemical Reimagined. I hope they cut. These are really nice. You get this inner box, and as you can see, it's fabric coated. They feel really good quality. The cardstock are amazing, and the kind of. Why am I putting it on wrong? So I'm doing it through the lens rather than looking at it. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, Reimagined is what he's working on now. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm forever clicking on ask the seller a question about this item on eBay and then negotiating a deal with the seller. Have you been trying to get it then, Vanessa? Another one that's on my desk and always on my desk, no surprises. It's one of my favorite decks, and that is Shimmering Veil by Scylla Conway. For me, her finest work. She's got some amazing decks out. I love them all. I love Scylla as a person. I love her artwork. But this, for me, is kind of... and again, I think it might be because of my previous connection with soul cards, because they do kind of... Some of the cards in particular remind me of that vibe. She doesn't put titles on these. You've just got like the element and the number. But just look at this. Just look at this art. It really speaks to my soul. It hits deep. And I remember doing my initial walkthrough of this. It was during the first lockdown, and Scylla contacted me because she'd seen me do a walkthrough of come on, what's it called? Days of Creation. And she said, oh, I saw your video of my deck. I was really grateful. I've been working on a tarot. Could I send you a copy? And I was like, yeah, because your artwork is stunning. Look at that devil card. And I didn't really know what to expect. So when this, and I've also got the Byzantine tarot. And when this came and I did a walkthrough, I got really moved. I was quite choked. This is the Golden Fool. Once he's completed his journey through the major arcana. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful deck. I did probably about 3 years ago, a video. It's one of my most popular videos, which is my top 10 tarot of all time, and this was high in there. And I mean, that's like an impressionist art, isn't it? The different kind of mediums and styles between each card. Look at this for a judgment card. All these souls ascending towards the light. Your walkthroughs are the best. I don't bother with anyone else. Says Laura, that's lovely. That's if you are talking to me. You might be talking to somebody else in the chat. I just claimed it. Well, if you are talking to me, thank you. Yeah, so love it so much. Look at that strength. So yeah, Cilla Conway, legend, and Shimmer and Veil, perfect. Okay, what next? Let's go with this one. Now this is a Marseille, and I've got just this one. Well, kind, not really, but it's not the only Marseille. But this one I really love. And it's not my favorite Marseille deck, but it's the one that's on my desk. So I've got to be true to it. This isn't a favorites kind of video. It's these are what's on my desk at the moment, and I'm enjoy working with. So if you do recognize it from its backs with these little skulls, this is the Parpolka. And I don't know about now, but you had to buy this from through the French Amazon. But I love this. I love the irreverence of it. Often got referred to at the time as the intestine decks, because you do see like these kind of strange intestines going around. I love the colors. You get really deep, beautiful, rich colors like the reds, or here the green in the background. They're just luscious. And this is a Marseille style deck, but it's one that they're not huge cards. They're probably about the size of a Fournier tarot card, if you think of Fournier, but it's beautiful. But again, can be a little bit here, or is it here? Yeah, I always have to, when I'm about to write that, I always have to Google, because for some reason I can never remember the right way around. I think it's here, isn't it? Not here. But whatever I think it is, it's always the opposite. So I always Google it and then find out what it is and write it, but then always forget. And I find myself Googling it every time. Look at that Hermit card. Beautiful deck. And I've been using this because, as I've mentioned before, very often I will use RW Rest in the morning and a Pip style deck in the evening. This is the one that I've been using recently. This is like a beautiful wine color. It doesn't come out the same on camera as it does to the naked eye. That's a little bit better. That's more of a true color you're getting. But really, really beautiful. And then you get this gorgeous dark blue on the coins. But it really makes the pips pop. The pips pop. Here's our death card. I prefer the Fournier card size, so this will be good for you. Look at it. I mean, like I say, it's irreverent, but That's like those old kind of saucy postcards you used to get at the seaside in the 70s. All right, so when I said Marseille, this is Marseille-ish, but I was never fortunate enough to have the original Cuppa tarot. But since getting this is the Old Fellow Revived with this candy stripe back. This has never left my desk. This is always out. And I love it. So it's an RWS deck with a Marseille art style. And I think they're actually becoming more popular. I know Alejandro Rozan is releasing through Artisan Tarot, and it looks incredible. A mashup RWS with a Marseille style deck. I love that she put Carly in for the Queen of Swords. I thought that was genius. She's also brought it up to date, made it more diverse, in particular in terms of different skin tones, as we can see. But yeah, again, nice, clear, crisp images. And you know, if you like that sort of Marseille style images of the wood block and the bold colors and things like that, but you want to read RWS, then maybe this is a good avenue in. So love that. And I'm not sure if this is MPC or maybe a different print on demand. But if you put into Google Old Fellow Revived Tarot, it will, you know, it will take you to where you need to be to get this. Again, it's got that lovely, I always want to do that with my fingers afterwards because I feel like they've got like a waxy feel to them. Really, really good quality. But yeah. And obviously there's the Waite Smith, isn't there? That also does this. So Old Fellow Revived, never gone onto the shelf. It's always been on my desk. I absolutely love it. And there's different versions. I think Robin from Toadstool Tarot has one called the Blonde edition, the blonde version. I never got that one. I did get some minis and things. I think I gifted Sandra one. But yeah, there's different variations out there of it as well. The Gaian Tarot. This was a dream. It was sent as a gift. I had originally the Schiffer version with the double borders, which everybody went on about. Originally released by Llewellyn. Oh, look what's on top. The chalice well. And someone said, I've got this deck. I don't use it. I'd like to send it to you. So thank you. You know who you are. This is a gorgeous deck. Really, really, really beautiful. It is mixed media of art, photographs, that sort of thing, but beautiful. Here's what we were talking about earlier about the Hierophant. This is a deck in question that changes the name to Teacher. I mean, look at that. That doesn't kind of give you the vibe of, you know, dogma and tradition and structure. So yeah, I love this, and it's again one of those decks that ever since I had it is on my desk. Railway Cat has a question above. What's the best way to contact you to arrange sending in something, Simon? On my YouTube, in the details, there's some contact information. I think it's got my email address. But Railway Cat, you could always just, let me see where it will be in banners. That's my email. We can have a discussion about what it is, what you want to send. If it's something you're creating, we can have a chat. But my email address, I'm doing it, you have to do it in reverse, don't you? Email address is here. If you want to drop me an email, that'll be lovely. Lovely gift. Yeah, and people are just so kind and generous. But I love this deck. I got this deck originally around the same time as the Urban Tarot. And whilst they're quite different, the Urban Tarot is based around New York. It has that same vibe of just people within a community going about their business. I mean, this is Gaian, so it's very much about, you know, connecting with the earth. It's quite pagan, but it has that sort of, really brings in the environment. You know, that for me, this card just reminds me of walking through the Arboretum here in Nottingham during autumn. You know, if that could, I couldn't, I'm not talented, but I could have created that picture, you know. So whereas the Urban Tarot is very much around New York, this tarot deck just could be anywhere where you've got woodland or outdoor spaces. And it's lovely having the Glastonbury chalice well there as well. This is Bindweed, which is the death card, death card, the devil card 15. Yeah, beautiful. So Gaian Tarot, the original version, is there. And then, can we just, and I know I've mentioned this a lot over the last few months, but Holy Spectrum is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Didn't think I was ever going to have this. It was a gift from our Elle for my birthday last year. I love everything about this. I love its simplicity. I mean, just look at the box. Nothing on it other than the infinity symbol in this beautiful iridescent metallic tarot of the Holy Spectrum. Chase your Voorhees. Beautiful matte black, plain black backs, black edging. There is a second edition, I believe, or a new edition, which has like silver edge and a plain silver back. I believe the cards are glossy in that version. It is one that I do want to get because I love this so much. And some of the images were changed when I was in Glastonbury with Sandra. We're going again, by the way. There's been a cancellation for Halloween, and they offered us first refusal, and we've took it. So excited. But we watched a couple of walkthrough videos, didn't we, Sandra, to have a look at what the new version looked like? Because I took this to Glastonbury with me, and Sandra and I pulled a card from it each day. It turned out to be very apt. But again, it's the spectrum of color, but there's some really powerful images in these cards. I just adore it. Again, beautiful matte cardstock, really good quality. Look at this High Priestess as well. You can hardly see her. She is there. What's David going on about Doreen Virtue again? Doreen Virtue, what's she done now? Love the Empress. Beautiful card. It was so good. The card pulls in Glastonbury. This was one of them, wasn't it? I just got to it now. And boy, that card played out on that day. You'd have to watch the Glastonbury vlog. Love this card. to get what we're going on about there. My time is up. I need to hurry up and just show you a few of the oracles. But there's just so many cards in this that I don't want to not show you. I mean, look at that for a death card. Incredible deck. Incredible deck. One of the best tarot decks, in my opinion. But anyway, oracles, I've got 3 on my desk at the moment, which is quite unusual for me. One that's a forever oracle that's on here. I've already showed you Oracle of Echoes, which is out, so that's always there. This one in this beautiful, and I don't know if you're still in the chat, it's beautiful bag that Anne sent me. She sent quite a few, and she said, send them on to people, which I did. I think with some giveaways, but if there's any you want yourself, do. And I just took this one because it's beautiful, and I think it really fits with the backs. So this is 2 decks in one, and these are the Wendy Andrews Goddess decks, Goddess Love, Goddess, I can't remember now, because I just merged them together into one. And Wendy Andrews as art is fantastic. It's very, very pagan. The book that I did the series on, which is Lunar Moon Here, is also by Wendy, and this is the sort of images you see. But this oracle deck is one of my favorites. I just really like it. I don't use any books or anything. I just realignment and then read the little phrase underneath. But it always seems to be really on point. I don't know if she's ever planning on bringing out any more decks. I've never seen talk of her doing a tarot or anything like that, but just gorgeous artwork. Oh my God, I don't think we will be doing that this time, Simon. But then we don't need to, do we? And then I did multicolored edges in purples and blues because that matches the backs as well, which I thought come out quite nice. So, oh dear. Okay, so also this is on my desk because this was a treasured Christmas present from Sandra. Tarot D Reflects. Never managed to get the first edition. This is the second edition, which is on this lovely matte cardstock. It's a gorgeous deck. It's done with tea staining, so it's hard to kind of this will show it quite well. So she starts off with paper. She puts down tea. And then makes artwork out of how the directions that the tea goes in across the paper. Celia Melville, who will know from the Renelle Tarot, and what else? Lily Black, Lily White, just beautiful. And this is a great deck. It's in French and English titles. And yeah, I love this deck. And we're getting some nice kind of clarification messages using this. Hi, Amanda. And then the final, talking about clarification messages, this deck I adore, and this was done by Ramon, who, I don't know if Ramon's still here, but this kind of is based on, this one's called the Sunrider Oracle, but it's based on the Moonlight Oracle. And this is where we take symbols from the RWS, Pamela Coleman Smith's RWS. What were the two? This is somebody in the Facebook group, Hermit's Cave Facebook group. What were the 2 oracle cards you mixed, please, Simon? Goddess Love and Goddess Dream. I think that's what they're called, by Wendy Andrews. They have different backs, but I can live with that. Yeah, so these are all images that we'll be used to seeing from RWS, and what Ramon has done is create an oracle and put his own interpretations on them, and I just think it's fantastic. This is great if you're doing a reading, and sometimes you'll do a reading and you'll just think, just, how to kind of summarize this all together. This is great for that. If people have bought readings from me in the past, they will see that I use, well, I've started using this, but the Moonlight, which is kind of a similar thing to this. So recognizable Pamela Corman Smith artwork, like from the breastplate and things like that. The two keys from the Hierophant card, 10 of Cups. So yeah, it's great, and I'm so grateful. He said there's only 2 of these in the world. I've got one, he's got one, which I feel very blessed that that he did that, and shared it with me. I love the backs that he did as well, with the take on the roses and lilies traditional back, but in the red and white. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to have to fly because I promised I'd give somebody a call at 8:30 about a trip I'm on tomorrow. I said, because they said, can give you a call about 7:30. So I said, I'll call you at 8:30, and I've just noticed it's nearly 20 to 9. Maybe a vlog tomorrow. I'm going on a trip tomorrow. I'm going to Eyam, which, if you're in the UK, it's quite a historic place. It was where the Black Death started, the plague. Just going to cheer myself up. But no, I haven't been since I was about 10. We went on a school trip, so going with some friends tomorrow. So I might vlog if any of you would find that interesting. So thank you for being here. I've really enjoyed your input. Thank you for indulging me in showing some decks. We had a proper Cuppa catch up and cards, haven't we? And play along if you want. If you want to do an updated version of decks that are on your desk, and why and what you think about them, then do. Or if you didn't do it last year and you want to do it, then it will be great. There's no hashtag as such, but if you want to do it, you can always just call it Decks on My Desk, VR to Simon or whatever, and I'll look out for them, or send me a message to let me know you've done it, and I'll come and watch. So thank you for being here, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll be back, no doubt, in the week. But until then, go in peace. Namaste, and blessed be.